Have you ever wondered why one person can work twice as hard, yet earn half as much? It doesn't seem fair. One person spends years perfecting their craft, putting in long hours, sacrificing weekends, doing everything they were told would lead to success. Another seems to solve a single problem, say a few words in the right room, or create one idea, and suddenly they're worth 10 times more. Most people assume the difference is luck. It isn't. The marketplace doesn't reward effort. It rewards value. More specifically, it rewards people who can solve problems that few others can. There's an old story that illustrates this better than any business book ever could. In the rolling foothills of Montana sat a quiet ranch known for raising the strongest horses in the region. Buyers traveled hundreds of miles because they knew the animals there were dependable, powerful, and built for hard work. Among them was a magnificent stallion named Duke. Duke was everything a rancher could ask for. He was tall, muscular, and could pull heavier loads than any other horse on the ranch. He never complained, never quit, and from sunrise until sunset he outworked every animal around him. Everyone admired Duke's strength. No one questioned his work ethic. Living nearby was a small emerald green parrot named Sage. Compared to Duke, Sage looked insignificant. She weighed almost nothing, couldn't pull a wagon, couldn't plow a field, and certainly couldn't outrun a horse. Most of the ranch animals barely noticed her. While Duke spent his days working, Sage spent hers observing. She listened carefully whenever ranchers discussed weather patterns. She watched travelers describe distant towns. She remembered names, stories, and conversations. Every evening, long after the ranch had gone quiet, Sage practiced repeating what she had learned. To most animals, it looked like she was doing nothing. But she was preparing. Months later, a wealthy investor arrived at the ranch looking for exceptional animals. The ranch owner proudly introduced Duke first. "This is the strongest horse I've ever raised," he said. "He can work longer than any horse you'll find." The investor walked around Duke, nodded politely, and asked, "How much?" $5,000. The investor smiled but didn't reach for his wallet. Instead, something else caught his attention. Perched quietly on a wooden fence was Sage. The little parrot tilted her head. "Welcome back," she said. The investor froze. "You remember me? You visited this ranch 3 summers ago," Sage replied. "Your daughter had just turned 8, and you were searching for a horse named Copper." The man's eyes widened. "I never told anyone here that," Sage continued. "You found Copper in Wyoming 2 weeks later." Silence settled across the ranch. The investor stepped closer. "What else do you know?" "I know tomorrow's storm will arrive before sunset because the swallows have been flying lower all morning. I know which mountain pass stays open after heavy rain. And I know your next meeting in Billings will be delayed if you leave after noon." The ranch owner stared in disbelief. He had lived beside Sage for years. He had never realized what she had become. "How much for the parrot?" the investor asked quietly. The ranch owner hesitated before answering. $100,000. Without negotiating, the investor reached into his briefcase and wrote the check. Duke couldn't believe what he had just witnessed. $100,000. For a bird smaller than one of his horseshoes. That evening, long after the trucks disappeared down the dusty road, Duke stood alone beneath the fading sky. His muscles were sore from another day of work. His mind was filled with questions. "I don't understand," he whispered. "I'm stronger. I work harder. So why am I worth so much less?" From the branches of an old cottonwood tree came a calm voice. "Because you've spent your life becoming better at something many others can already do." Duke looked up. An old owl named Ash spread his wings and glided silently to the ground. "And tomorrow," Ash said, "I'm going to ask you one question that will change the way you think about work. Forever." Duke didn't sleep that night. The words kept repeating in his mind. You've spent your life becoming better at something many others can already do. At dawn, the old owl named Ash was already waiting near the fence line. He didn't speak at first. He just watched Duke. Then he asked the question. What can you do that almost no other horse here can do? Duke opened his mouth immediately. I'm stronger than all of them. I can pull heavier loads. I can run farther without stopping. The owl blinked slowly. And how many horses here can do the same? Duke hesitated. Almost all of them. A long silence followed. For the first time, Duke didn't feel proud of his strength. He felt replaceable. The owl stepped closer. Strength is not rare, Ash said quietly. Reliability is not rare. Even hard work is not rare. Duke lowered his head. Then what is? Ash turned toward the open fields beyond the ranch. Rare is what solves uncertainty. Duke didn't understand. So the owl continued. Sage is not valuable because she talks. She is valuable because she reduces doubt. She notices things others miss. She connects patterns others ignore. She tells people what they cannot easily figure out themselves. The words landed slowly. Not as inspiration. As discomfort. That night, Duke began to change. At first, he did what he always did. He pulled wagons. He carried loads. He ran the same paths he had run for years. But something inside him had shifted. He started watching more closely. When the ranchers moved goods, he noticed certain routes were always slower when rain was coming. When travelers arrived, he observed which ones were unprepared for terrain changes. When storms built in the distance, he felt the ground differently under his hooves. He didn't just move anymore. He began to think. Weeks passed. Then months. At first, nothing changed. He was still just a horse. Still just strong. Still just one of many. Until one afternoon, a wagon broke down on a mountain road. The driver panicked. The cargo was valuable. The weather was turning. No one knew which path to take. Duke stepped forward. He didn't wait for instructions. He turned away from the main road and walked toward a narrow pass no one else had considered. The driver shouted after him, unsure. But Duke kept going. Because he had seen something others hadn't. The wind patterns. The slope of the ground. The darkening clouds gathering behind the ridge. Hours later, they arrived safely. And for the first time, the ranchers didn't talk about Duke's strength. They talked about his judgment. A week later, a different investor arrived. He had heard the story. He didn't ask how much Duke could carry. He didn't ask how fast he could run. He asked something different. Does he make decisions others can't? The ranch owner nodded slowly. Yes, the investor smiled. I'll take him for 7,000. Duke didn't feel surprised this time. He felt something else. Clarity. Because now he understood. Value was never about effort. It was about rarity. And rarity came from solving problems others couldn't see. That evening, as the sun disappeared behind the mountains, Duke stood beside the fence one last time. The owl Ash landed beside him. You learned quickly, Ash said. I almost didn't, Duke replied. That's why most never change, the owl said. They keep improving what the world already has too much of. Duke looked out at the fields. For years, he thought he was building value. Now he realized he had only been competing. Where do I go from here? He asked. The owl's voice was quiet. You stop asking how to be stronger. You start asking how to be irreplaceable. Duke didn't respond. But something inside him settled. Not excitement. Not pride. Something deeper. Direction. Because for the first time, he understood what most people spend their entire lives missing. In any market, money, careers, or life itself, you are not paid for effort. You are paid for clarity under uncertainty. For the ability to see what others cannot. And as the wind moved across the Montana fields, Duke finally stopped trying to be the hardest working horse in the valley, and started becoming something far more dangerous. A horse that could not be ignored,